Welcome back to With a Twist. Tonight, I invite you into a story that doesn't rely on jump scares or sudden shocks. Instead, it's a slow burning unease that lingers, haunting the edges of your mind long after the tale concludes. Let's delve into The Persistent Passenger. A few years back, my job had me clocking out late. My commute home depended on the number 7 bus, the kind that grows eerily empty as it nears the end of its route. That particular night, the bus felt like a ghost ship. Maybe 4 other passengers were scattered about, each lost in their own world. The silence was punctuated only by the hum of the engine and the occasional flicker of streetlights passing by. Then, at the Elm Street stop, he boarded. He wasn't loud or overtly threatening. Average height, slightly hunched, clad in a dark hoodie with a baseball cap casting shadows over his face. He moved with a quiet confidence that felt unsettling amidst the emptiness. He chose a seat a few rows ahead across the aisle and just sat there, still. I tried to sink back into my post-work haze, gazing out at the blur of city lights, but an inexplicable sensation prickled at me, like I was being watched. Subconsciously, I'd glance up, catching glimpses of his reflection in the window. Each time it felt as though he had been looking at me just moments before, his gaze shifting away as our eyes nearly met. Subtle, yet persistent, it began to crawl under my skin. With each stop, another passenger disembarked, swallowed by the night. The bus grew emptier, the silence heavier. Soon it was just me and him. He hadn't moved or made a sound, but his presence was palpable. It felt like an invisible thread connected his gaze to the back of my neck. I fumbled with my phone, pretending to be engrossed, but my fingers were clumsy, my focus shattered by the growing unease. My stop was next. Willow Creek. Relief washed over me as I stood to pull the signal cord. Walking toward the front, the aisle felt interminably long. Each step echoed in the silence. I could feel his eyes on me, a tangible weight. No longer a fleeting glance, but a steady, unwavering stare that tracked my every movement. I avoided looking directly at him, focusing instead on the back of the driver's head, but I knew he was watching. Stepping off the bus, the cool night air hit my face. I took a deep breath, attempting to shake off the tension. But something compelled me to look back. He was standing now, right by the window where he'd been seated, staring directly at me. His face remained partially shadowed by the cap, but his mouth stretched into a wide smile. Not friendly, not polite. It was something else, something that didn't reach his eyes. Something predatory. Then, instead of remaining on the idling bus, he began moving toward the back door, the same one I had just used. My blood ran cold. Willow Creek wasn't a busy stop, especially at that hour. Why would he be getting off here? My building was a few blocks away, nestled on a quiet residential street. It wasn't a place someone would randomly choose to disembark. Panic surged. I started walking, then quickened my pace, transitioning into a near run, my keys digging into my palm. I kept glancing back, trying to be subtle, but he was there, always the same distance behind me, his pace mirroring mine. It felt deliberate, like he was toying with me. The silence of the street amplified the sound of my own footsteps, and I could almost hear his behind me, a soft, steady rhythm that sent shivers down my spine. Finally, my building came into view, a beacon of safety in the darkness. I practically sprinted the last few yards, fumbling with my keys, the metal clinking loudly in the quiet night. I didn't dare look back until I had slammed the door shut behind me and bolted the lock. My breath came in ragged gasps as I peered through the peephole. He was there, across the street, standing under a dim streetlight, just looking at my building. That same unsettling smile still on his face. He stood there for what felt like an eternity, a silent, watchful figure in the night. Then, slowly, deliberately, he turned and walked away in the opposite direction, disappearing into the shadows. I never saw him again, but the feeling, that sensation of being followed, of a persistent, silent presence, it stayed with me. It still does. That was the encounter with the persistent passenger. Not a dramatic confrontation, but a slow, creeping dread that seeps into your bones. Share your stories in the comments. This is With a Twist, where we delve deep into real-life moments that linger long after they're over. Subscribe for more unsettling encounters, because sometimes reality is stranger and scarier than fiction.